one in the sidelines mug, which I got to send another and getting some
T-shirts
made next.
Stella stole mine.
Well, they're handy, man. And Bim Bam, if you're ever in Oxford, Mississippi, that breakfast, sausage, eggs, bacon, grits, hash brown, toast, biscuits, and a pillow that comes with it.
Heart attack special is what that is.
It's some good stuff. Hey, got a great show this morning, man. Jason Caldwell, Auburn Undercover, one of the absolute best guys out there and writers, covers more ground, I think, on foot. Watching these recruits from 8th and 9th grade on up, he'll be joining us in the first segment. Chris Plank, Sooner Network sideline reporter, Plank Show, joins us next. Right after that, Dudley Dawson, Hogville.net, and Vince Ferrara up in Knoxville at the Sports Animal. Hey, tap that subscribe button, hit the QR code with your phone, you click it with the camera, subscribe, tell your friends, neighbors, family, people you know and don't know about it. We're live streaming. Live streaming. This
it's like Saturday Night Live every day.
Yeah, it's Wednesday morning live, and we got executive producer Brendan Martin.
Hump day!
When we watched the Tyson fight the other night, we realized, as he said, how difficult it is.
The WWE fight? Yeah, that was
that whatever that was Friday. I was in Auburn the other night, and I didn't even get to see it. We were driving. Jason, good morning. Welcome to the show. A lot happening. When I was down there at the game Saturday, there were a lot of recruits there. I want to ask you, I think Spencer Dowling out of Athens, Alabama. I was down there a couple of weeks ago for a meeting with our new sponsor, Winter Timber Outdoors from Athens. Anything going on there? I know Auburn's in play with a lot of guys, and a lot of people are trying to get a lot of Auburn's players.
Yeah, no, I think it's just a matter of they're signing a bunch of offensive linemen. He's probably a guy that was kind of down the list for them. It's still a guy that I think they wanted to bring in, but I think he saw that, hey, there's going to be a whole lot of guys in front of me, and so it's another opportunity for him. And so Mississippi State may be a team in the picture there, and just a guy that was going to be a developmental guy a little bit, probably looking for a spot to maybe try to get on the field a little bit earlier somewhere else.
And I saw on Twitter X last night, Auburn people wishing him nothing but the best, and that's the way it should be. He's somebody's son. We had Bob Kessling on the show Friday, and he's retiring after this year's The Voice of the Vols. He asked Jack Buck years ago, who was friends with his father, what's the best advice getting into broadcasting? He said, tell the truth, and when you're broadcasting a game, act like those are your own kids before you say anything. So it was good. But let's talk about Auburn, man. This team defense is 14th in the country. I read everything on Auburn Undercover, but heading into the ATM Texas A&M game, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's another opportunity for a team that's been there, pretty much every week. Can you find a couple of plays here or there? A&M has been much, much better at home than they've been on the road. And so you look at it, the last time they went on the road, they got this steamrolled at South Carolina, who's playing pretty good football right now. But so I think it's an opportunity game for Auburn. Can you go out and make a few plays on offense? Obviously, Texas A&M's a big physical defense, but quarterback wise, it's another really, I think, run first quarterback. Now he can throw it, but I think it's more run first, and they've seen a bunch of those guys this year. So I think it's an opportunity for this team to go out and grab that first signature win for them of the season. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you've chronicled better than anybody the offensive line problems at Auburn, but are you seeing it kind of symptomatic with almost every school? It's hard to get any depth on the offensive line in today's climate with the portal being what it is.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Georgia, it was the issue for them. Tate Ratledge, when he was out, they weren't nearly as good, and they're still not the dominant team they have been. You look at Ohio State, and they have a transfer that was starting at center, and now they're without two offensive linemen starters that they were projected to start the year with, and people are going, hey, it's a concern. And that's a roster that paid, I don't know, $20-25 million for their roster, and they've got issues. It is a developmental position. You can plug a transfer in, do those things, but you still have to develop offensive line talent. That's the way to do it. And it takes a little bit longer to do that. And again, can you hold on to them long enough to develop the second, third guys? I mean, that's the question. I mean, you never saw a true freshman playing on the offensive line, and now you're seeing more and more of those guys because, okay, hey, we're going to go with talent over maybe experience at some spots. But yeah, it's still a developmental spot. And can you keep guys on campus long enough to get them to that point? That's the question nowadays.
Yeah, you said it best, because you think about Ed King in '88 out of Phoenix City Central, Lee Zimba in '07 out of Rogers, Arkansas. It'd been Willie Anderson out of Viger. I mean, you can name them almost on one hand at Auburn, the number of true freshmen that started on the offensive line. What about this offense makes you think Auburn can go up against Texas A&M? They've got a really good defensive front and have a lot of success, because they looked good. I know it was Louisiana Monroe, and they're not, an SEC team.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, and first thing you got to do is got to get a little field position. If you start every drive inside your own 25, you're not going to be very good against a team like Texas A&M. So that's where I think the defense has to help Auburn some. They've only created 8 turnovers in 10 games. Now, they play good defense, but they're not getting the ball back. And I think that's the thing that you need to do to help your offense. And so that would be a good starting point. And let's face it, this team that hasn't had really any breaks to speak of this season. Pretty much everything that has gone wrong for them. And maybe it's a time for them to get a couple of breaks here or there this weekend. And so that'd be the first thing. But I mean, they've moved the football, but to try to go 70 yards a lot of the time is not conducive to going and scoring a bunch of points. And so can you get some positive field position? I still think you're going to have to make plays in the passing game down the field. The thing about A&M's, they got 73 tackles for losses, but they don't have a ton of sacks. So they're a big physical group, but they haven't sacked the quarterback a ton. And so can you get time to throw the football, get the ball out of your hands and get it to your playmakers? I think that's the thing. And then even with all their tackles for losses, I think they're still just 10th in the SEC in rush defense. So teams have been able to run the football on them some. So I think those are two things you look at Auburn going, look, there's going to be some opportunities here, even as physical as they are.
The wide receivers that Auburn brought in, we know the big four: Perry Thompson, Bryce Kane, Malcolm Simmons, and Cam Coleman. I always felt the most athletic was Malcolm Simmons because of track and field. Do you feel that way, that he is maybe the best athlete on the team?
Yeah, he's one of them for sure. You start talking about it, it's a very short list when you talk about Malcolm, and the guy that they've done a good job of getting the football to and getting touches in different ways. Mm-hmm. And now he's the guy that's returning punts for this team, and I think that's the right move too. So, yeah, I mean, I think you look at Malcolm, and the question was always going to be how quickly could he pick up things after not being there in the spring? How quickly would he be able to come? And I think he's done a good job of picking up the offense. And I thought after the second bye week, Saturday against Louisiana Monroe, I thought we saw both him and Cam Coleman both moving around on the offense, and instead of being stationary in one spot, I saw them moving around to different areas pre-snap to give some different looks and create different matchups. That's the key to doing it at this level nowadays. It's not 1993 where Thomas Bailey lines up on the left, Frank Sanders lines up on the right, and you run the ball. I mean, you run that offense every time. Now you have to move guys around to create matchups, and I think that's what they've done a better job of. And if you can do some of those things, these last couple of games, you'll create yourself some opportunities.
Talk about DeMarcus Riddick again. You go out, you saw him in Clanton, Chilton County, Peach capital of Alabama. He's really starting to emerge. Auburn's had some great linebackers over the years. Trey Blackman out of LaGrange came in and at times was a dominant player. Riddick, I don't think we've seen one like him, and I'm not going to compare him to somebody that I want to yet, but he's tall and big and fast, and what do you not like about him?
Yeah, I mean, that's the comparison I made. Now, he's not as tall, but like he has Carlos Dansby qualities. And that's the thing you look at. He played, he was a basketball guy, played safety in high school. He returned punts. Like he has a lot of those things. The physicality is the thing that you have to kind of get to the next level. And he's done a good job of doing that. And so to me, when I look athletically, now he's not 6'4", but Carlos as a young guy was 6'4", 215 playing safety. So you look at Riddick and, the 6'2", but long arms, to me, similar athleticism at a place like that. I think a guy that plays at 6'2", 235 before he's done. But that's to me the athletic comparison when you're talking about Auburn. And you look at Riddick so far, and he's created some explosive plays. And I think he's a guy that's going to be a building block of this defense for the future.
Yeah, you think of the Woodlawn Magic, Carlos Dansby, 16 years in the NFL. And I remember the catch he made against North Carolina in the 2001 Peach Bowl over on the sidelines. You were there. That is a lofty comparison, and I don't disagree with you. I also want to ask you about some of these young defensive backs. As Auburn gets depth on the defensive front, that should do nothing but help them in every game, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you look at those guys now, and obviously Jay Crawford has been a guy that's been really, really good. Caleb Harris as well. Those two true freshmen have played really good football so far. And then, you look at outside Kayan Lee's just a true sophomore. Sylvester Smith's a redshirt freshman. I mean, like, they have some pieces in place. You'll get Champ Anthony back, who I thought was playing really good at corner last year. You'll get him back, and then you keep this class together, and they're still recruiting Naeem Alford out of Parker High School in Birmingham. But you look at the latest addition for them, Shamar Arnaud, I think is a guy that plays as a true freshman. He's 6'2". He'll be 6'2", 185 or so, but long, can run. He's aggressive. But Blake Woodby is a good player. Donovan Starr. I mean, like there's some guys that you start talking about as the next crop of guys that have a chance to play as true freshmen. And you're right. You add that with the guys you have committed on this defensive front, and Malik Blockton playing and doing the things he's doing, and obviously Amaris Williams, and you'll get Keldrick Falk back another year. This is a defense that's going to have some elite young pieces that'll now have some experience under their belt. Now, you'll have to add a couple of older guys here or there to kind of bridge the gap some, but I think defensively, from a talent standpoint, you're going to have a group that has a chance to go out and compete with anybody.
I watched your podcast with Justin Clemente about Auburn's recruiting class. Jared Smith went to Columbia. I mean, everybody's going to be after guys like that until they sign. Do you feel good about Auburn? We're 2 weeks from today is signing day, but in this class is anywhere from 3 to 5 in the country.
Yeah, no, I think it is what it is. You recruit guys like this, and in this climate, it's always been you have to fight to signing day. In this climate, it doesn't matter who you are. Look at schools all across the country that are losing guys, gaining guys. It goes from Alabama to the bottom of guys moving and shuffling, and that's just what you're going to have to face. And so I think Auburn is prepared for it. They're continuing to recruit other guys, and hey, if you were to lose a guy like this, then maybe there's another guy. I mean, we're hearing that Justice Terry's going to take an official visit this weekend, and so that's another one of those guys. You look at this defensive line going, that's a priority. You're going to play guys early. We've seen Malik Blockton already have a big impact this year. Next year, I would guess that there'll be 2 or 3 true freshmen that play a role like Malik Blockton's playing this year to go ahead and get your most talented guys on the field. And so, I think you prepare in case something happens, but you just continue to recruit your guys, and so far, it's been pretty good so far.
Yeah, and one of my group texts I'm on with a bunch of guys who went to Auburn said, Justice Terry, you sign that guy, you make sure he comes off the bus first every day. I mean, I have not seen.
They got a bunch of those. They got a bunch of those guys. Jordan Crawford. Jordan Crawford's that guy too. I mean, I think Jordan Crawford is the most underrated guy in this Auburn class to me. I mean, I don't think it's even close. I think I don't know if he's a day one starter, but he absolutely has at least as much impact as Malik Blockton, in my opinion. I think he's going to be a monster for them up front. Antonio Coleman has a chance to do the same, and look at Malik Autry and Nate Marshall. They've got some interior guys that are absolutely going to jump in there and give them, to me, you want to have the experience, but you're going to be much more athletic on the defensive front than you've been in the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's an impressive group. Jason, I know you got a big day ahead of you. Let people know again how they can follow you, because again, y'all are putting out stuff every day on Auburn Undercover, because I watch it and it's really, really good. And I hope to see you when I'm down there for the Texas A&M game Saturday. Yeah, no, you can check us out, auburnundercover.com, part of the 24/7 network. Obviously,
all the social media things. Our group does a great job of that, and and also check out our YouTube page, Auburn Undercover. Just hey, subscribe there. It's free, but we do a ton of things on there. Whether it's post game videos, our live show that we'll do tonight will be on there. You can watch it as part of our podcast thing too. So check it all out there.
All right, thanks so much. We'll do it again next week. Appreciate it.
Oh, whoops. Thanks, Jason.
Put
the wrong button. Thanks, Jason. We'll do that again. Sorry, everyone. Fat finger.
Brendan, recruiting wise, we were talking last night on the Buddy Martin show, and I know, and I see comments, about recruiting and all. Florida recruiting wise, and Chris Plank will be on in a second from Oklahoma, but Lauren knows recruiting. Franz does.
Lauren doesn't really do recruiting.
Who is the number one recruiting guy that you've got?
We had a guy that was who was interning with us last year as a senior at UF, and then he's graduated. So we haven't replaced our recruiting person per se, but we've got some people that we're looking into. Franz follows it closely. I think it's really just a difficult thing because especially now with players changing their minds and we got some football left to play and
exactly.
This guy knows all about that because he's Chris Plank with the Oklahoma network. What do you guys, just the OU network?
Sooner Radio Network, Oklahoma Radio Network, whatever you guys want to call it.
It's like Larry Munson would always say to Lauren Smith on the sidelines, "Lauren, what do you got?" Like they go, "Plank, what do you got?" Plank show. How you doing this morning?
Good, man. How are you guys?
Good. Big one this weekend. 2 of the top 6 winningest programs in the history of college football. Recruiting's fully underway. The Sooners are all over the place, like everybody else. You got Alabama coming in this weekend. First year, Sooners are 1-5. First off, I saw about Brent Venables' wife, and I will keep her in my prayers with St. Peregrine, the patron saint of all people that are cancer patients, and I promise I will do that. We got to remember these are real people, and you know them better than anybody. But tell us about that, because we've got something Brendan will tell you about on our show. That it's a big deal that we have every day. He'll tell you.
Well, we had heard rumblings. Well, let's go back to the start. Last year, the report got out that Julie Venables, Coach Venables' wife, had been diagnosed with breast cancer. Yeah. And the great news was in May, we found out that it was in remission. So it was a celebration time. Rumblings started over the last few weeks that the cancer had reemerged and that it wasn't good. And then yesterday, Coach Venables, today's a Wednesday, Monday in his coach's show, Coach Venables came out and said, "Hey, we, Julie had cancer, had the cancer return, and it was, Robert, it was 2 months after they told her it was in remission. There was some elevated blood issues. I'm not as probably versed in that as I should be, but there were some things that were problematic. So the team knew about it. They had talked about it, in the post game after Missouri and had a team prayer for her. And then Coach came back and went right to, I think he said, New York, where she has been going back and forth to have her cancer surgery. So, we haven't heard much about the surgery except that she's fighting, and it's just, the prayers are appreciated, man. It's been a rough year here in Norman, and that's just that's kind of the cherry on top of the just sadness of what's and that's a real world thing that has nothing to do with wins.
Absolutely, it is.
Well, we take this very seriously. Rob and I, we're big about being into the community and all that stuff. It's not about us, but that was just a backstory to explain that we have a candidate that's running. They're doing a Fab 40 over 40 contest, international thing, and the gal, it's for women. It's to raise money for breast cancer research, and awesome. we've got a gal, Lisa, that we're supporting, and she's donating her money to the hurricane victims of the hurricanes this year. If she were to win, her name is Lisa. We got a QR code up there. If you guys have voted for her before, guys and gals, you can vote once a day. It's free. If you want to donate, it's all on there. Just click on the link in the chat or snap the QR code. But this is what Rob was alluding to, and this is just one of many things that we plan on doing in the future. So man, cancer sucks. It just
It
sucks.
does.
It
And
touches
Brent
us all.
Venables is one of I've followed this guy's career for a long time, and you know him. His first year in Oklahoma, let's talk about the Sooners, and he's got a lot on his plate, but he's tough as nails. You told me about he grew up in Kansas. He ain't going anywhere. He didn't get a football lobotomy. He knows how to win. But what do you see the Sooners have got to do after these first 6 games to be competitive? Because you ain't going to keep Oklahoma down. That just doesn't happen. Not even John Blake could keep them down forever.
Yeah, I was trying to scroll here real quick because there's this incredible stat that can kind of magnify just how inept Oklahoma has been in taking advantage of opportunities that have been presented to them. And Chris Oven, who used to work with us here in Norman, he now works with the Mariners. He tweeted this after the Saturday night game. Every single turnover that Oklahoma has recovered in SEC play. So think about it. Every turn, Sans won the Kip 6 against Auburn. But every single turnover OU has recovered in SEC play has been reciprocated by either a turnover by the OU offense or a missed field goal, and it happens quick. It's within 2 minutes of forcing the turnover. They had a fumble that they forced against Tennessee. They gave it back to him in 6 seconds. They had a fumble they forced against Tennessee. They gave it back to it in 4 seconds. They picked off the Texas pass to start the game, missed a field goal 2 minutes later. They fumbled against Mississippi. Mississippi recovered. OU fumbled again 23 seconds later. And then after the Missouri scoop and score, Oklahoma fumbled for the Missouri the Oklahoma scoop and score against Missouri. Oklahoma fumbled for the Missouri scoop and score a minute and 38 later. So they're just not, taking advantage, like not taking advantage of the turnovers. Rob, they're like literally shooting themselves in both feet after forcing a turnover. It's unparalleled.
It's like they got the yips. You know what I mean? It's like a golfer that can't hit a ball. It's like it happens in sports and it happens to teams. We see it in baseball a lot. That's
especially
why there's right. Yeah. Especially with quarterback, when you're at that when you're the skill level and you're forcing it, right? You see quarterbacks throwing off their back foot, trying to aim the ball, and it's just like I've been on teams like that. It sucks. It's like nobody knows what's wrong.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. They switched offensive coordinators, and I know this sounds crazy after the Missouri game, but it's actually been better. It's been better. They were better against Ole Miss. I mean, Maine doesn't count. And for the most part against Missouri, they were good. But in the end, they were okay, I should say. They're running the ball better. The left side of the offensive line has gotten better. They're playing some younger guys. But it's not good enough, and it's not going to be good enough. So, Brent's going to be back next year. And, barring giving up 70 points in these next 2 games, which, you never know. But Brent's going to be back next year. He's going to get the opportunity to get this offensive coordinator hire right. I think, depending on what happens with Jackson Arnold and Michael Hawkins, I think Oklahoma is going to be in the portal game for a quarterback. And, I think we're going into one of the most wild portal quarterback seasons we've ever had because – we'll see. I don't know if Georgia fans are sold on Jaden Rashada being the guy next year. Alabama's got some young dudes, but I would imagine.
I think he's good. I think Rashada's real good.
You think he's the guy that's
okay? I think he's real good. I think, I liked him a lot when he was being recruited and all that mess at Florida. I did think he was pretty special. I think he got going to Arizona, that was a bad deal for him. That's
okay. So then we'll take Georgia out of it. Is Alabama in the portal quarterback game? Auburn is.
Auburn is.
Auburn's
definitely in it. Yeah.
Michigan's going to be.
Michigan's going to have a few spots.
Yeah. I don't know. Ohio State got the kid that came over from Alabama, so I don't know if they will be or not. But Oklahoma is going to be. So
what's that kid's name? They just flipped. One kid just flipped to Florida yesterday. I got to look on our website.
Yeah, and then some might say, well, what about Oregon being in the quarterback game? Well, they went and got Dante Moore too last year from UCLA. He was a 5-star kid that played. So I don't know if Oregon's going to be in that game. But my point is, they're going into an off season where they're going to have to get the quarterback situation figured out, and that's just going to be wild. I think with the amount of money that's going to be thrown around to the best quarterbacks out there in the portal.
Yeah, and I was at the Touchdown Club in Memphis Monday, and we were talking. Alyssa Lang was the speaker. It was really good. And I was sitting at a table, and one of my friends, I couldn't believe he goes, Oklahoma, they don't have any money. I said, you're out of your mind. I said, you don't know about West Oklahoma's got a lot of oil wells. And I said, Tulsa at one time was the oil capital of the world. You do remember the
Right.
Beverly Hillbillies, Mr. Brewster, the OK Oil Company, who handled the Clampett's money, was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Y'all are going to get it cranked up. Every sport that you're in at Oklahoma, there is a bar that's really damn high.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting. I think, yes, the quarterback position has to get figured out. I think Brent's zeroed in on an offensive coordinator. It's not Dan Mullen, but a lot of Sooner fans seem to think it is. But
wouldn't be a bad thing.
That would not be a bad thing.
It would not be a bad thing at all.
He's pretty brilliant offensively.
Dan Mullen's made it clear that he wants to be
Holy
head coach
shnikes.
again.
Yeah, he should.
Yeah. He's one of 3 or 4 coaches that have won 100 games.
Yeah, I like Dan
active.
Mullen.
So, and I like him. But I don't think he's going to go. I don't think he's going to do the Chip Kelly. I think he wants to be a head coach again. But, it's going to be a real fascinating month of December, guys, to see what the portal looks like for Oklahoma with guys going out. If you start losing some of those core foundational guys, for instance, if you see a Jaden Jackson in the portal or a David Stone in the portal for Oklahoma, if you see a Kobe McKenzie or a Kip Lewis, and Kip might go, I don't know. Kip's a different dude. If you see a Robert Spears Jennings or a Peyton Bowen or an Eli Bowen, those are all the guys that are supposed to be the defensive foundation for the future when Stutzman and Billy Bowman and those guys graduate. So I think if you start seeing some of those guys go in the portal for Oklahoma, then you really sound the alarm that, this thing is in big trouble, bigger than it is already. But I do think, like you said, they're going to be competitive in every stretch of the way. And I don't think the buyout is keeping Brent Venables around. I don't think the buyout is preventing Oklahoma from firing him. I don't think he would have been fired if they did have the buyout. I think he would have been given another year to try to fix this regardless.
When you talk to Oklahoma fans, which you do every day on KREF radio there in Oak City, Norman, which is a big market. It's nonstop all day Sooners. What's the general, conversation with Sooner fans about year one in the SEC? They knew it would be different.
Yeah. Well, they're pissed. There's no other way to put it, right? We don't even. If you think about
not
it,
so nice anymore. Now it's like settled in. Now they're like, nah, damn, that's
this sucks.
I joined the Army. I'm here.
I don't mind 11 a.m. kicks. I'll play Baylor if necessary. Yeah. But no, I think that what's frustrating more than anything else for Oklahoma fans is how many years OU fans have spent wanting to get the defense on track, how embarrassed they were by bad defensive performances. And then lo and behold, you get a defense that's playing at a level that can win football games for you, and your offense just can't get out of its own way. Mm-hmm. So it's been a wild 180 for OU fans to try to figure out.
That's the rub of playing in the SEC. And I've heard coaches from Urban Meyer to Billy Napier and say the way you win or Steve Spurrier recently, the way you win championships in the SEC is with defense. Defense. Right. Florida wins last week. Yeah, DJ was great. He was awesome. But there was a few sacks, and Florida's defense finally showed up. I know I was going to say I think there was 8 or 7, but one wasn't counted. So, but 7 sacks for Florida to come in and be, to show teeth. Granted, DJ's showing some, time of possession, and obviously that's always going to help your defense. But I'm just saying that defense wins SEC championships, quarterbacks win the SEC championships, and the thing is now, and you guys tell me, you really you gotta have to be balanced. You gotta have a great, powerful offense. You gotta put points on the board.
You can't turn the ball over,
right?
You can't.
You can't be. And this is the Graham Mertz knock. I can't remember. Like even Coach came out or Billy came out at the beginning of the year, says Graham Mertz needs to take a little more chances, a little more risks, because he was being too conservative, right? So that's the median, right?
No, and then you walk that line. Everyone made fun of Iowa, and they should have, because their offense was so terrible. But what did Iowa not do? They didn't turn the ball over.
No,
you want that balance between taking shots and then not putting yourself in a bad position. Oklahoma has consistently, man, put itself in a bad position
Yeah.
with turnovers this year. And then, okay, so we have the Brent Venables. He has a couple shows before before the kind of everything shuts down. You had Sooner Sports Talk on Monday, which is his radio TV show. You had his press conference yesterday, the SEC teleconference coming up today. And you can even sense from him, like what you were talking about, Brendan, you could sense the frustration where, hey, we got plays to be made, right? There's the block. He even said it. The blocking was good enough. Guys were open, and they're not pulling the strings. So it's been this fine line between, all right, is this a problem with just a quarterback who's not seeing things and processing things well because he is so young? Or was this an overall design problem? Or is this young guy is on the line? It's just been a myriad of issues for OU this year, unfortunately. Offensively.
Well, Chris, when you think about life in the SEC, it's a line of scrimmage league. This Oklahoma recruiting class, we're 2 weeks from today, for all practical purposes, is signing day. We've got a second one in February, and that's basically for the coaches, schools that fire their coach in December. They have to go get what they can. But how do you see this class coming together? They're going to hold on to it. Everybody's in the same boat, though.
It is going to be one of the most fascinating 2-week stretches because you've got 2 to 3 offensive linemen. You got Oklahoma hasn't had a 5-star offensive lineman in a while, and you're trying to get them to stay when you can't even tell them who their offensive coordinator is going to be right now. Yeah. So you're trying to keep a class together while, Rob, in the same vein, you're also trying to go out and get an offensive line coach to come in, or an offensive coordinator to come in. I'll tell you what, Brent's always had the policy that if you visit somewhere, you're not committed. But he said yesterday, he's like, I don't pull offers for it. And for the longest time, everyone's like, oh, he's pulling their offer. So it's going to be a fascinating couple of weeks. And I think Oklahoma feels really good about the class staying together. But for me, I don't feel good until you cross that finish line, right? You break that tape. Yes. So we'll see in a couple of weeks. And that, of course, as you know, guys, that's going to lead to the craziness of portal season as well.
Oh, yeah. Chris, tell them how they can follow you. Let's do this again next week. Always love you. Are a professional's mentor. That's how you're.
I made it on time today. Brendan to be proud of me.
I was proud of you, and you were all ready and everything.
I was ready to go.
Good boy, Chris.
He was a good boy today. At Plank Show, give me a follow on Twitter. We're about ready to rip 3 hours of radio here, so it should be fun, man. Thanks for having me on.
What's your Twitter handle?
Yeah,
at Plank Show.
At Plank Show. Gotcha.
Yep. At Plank Show. We'll retweet it. And thank you so
much.
You
guys.
You're awesome, brother.
All right.
Thank you.
See you next week. Let me say something about one of our sponsors, Landers Ford, the #1 Ford dealership in the Mid-South. Presenting sponsor of the Touchdown Club of Memphis. They are everywhere in the Mid-South. And no matter where you are watching this show, they can deliver a car, truck, or SUV. Those new Broncos, the F-150s, the Expeditions, the Explorers, the Ford Lightning. They got them all out there, open Monday through Saturday. Only day they're closed is Sundays. Okay, 7 a.m. service department opens until 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Sales, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Call out there, ask for Brad Bellamy, the general manager. He'll direct you to a salesman, get the process started, and it really doesn't take that long. When you get in there, they're all about efficiency, and they got a big lot, Poplar and Houston Levy, in Memphis, Collierville, but it's landersfordmemphis.com. Take a picture with your cellular phone of that QR code and let them know you heard about it on Sidelines. $500 off. Again, the F-150s, the Lariats, the King Ranches, they've got them all. Big inventory. They'll get you what you need. Also, let me say this too about another one of our great sponsors, Winter Timber Outdoors, down in Athens, Alabama, right there on Highway 72. The Rite Masamara GPS, buy one, get one free Black Friday. Again, take your cellular phone, take you a picture of that QR code. They are open every day of the week. I talked to a guy down in Huntsville yesterday. He's going pheasant hunting Thursday out in South Dakota where we go. And he said, I'm going to go by Winter Timber and check it out. And I said, let them know you heard about it on SEC Sideline Sports Network. Over 2,000 guns in the store, shotguns, rifles, handguns. They've got all the gear you need for deer hunting. It's all cranking up. The rut is starting to happen in certain parts of the country. The cooler it is, the more deer are on the road, so be careful. They've got deer stands, all the gear. The staff is trained. They know what they're doing. They are fellow outdoorsmen. The men and women in there love the shooting sports. Again, deer, turkey, quail, pheasant, grouse hunting, goose hunting. They've got people in there that know what you need and will help you out. Proud to have them as a sponsor. Good God Almighty. Is that Sir Edmund Hillary in the background there in the Boston Mountains? Oh, it's Dudley Dawson and Sir Edmund. But welcome, Hogville.net, putting out great content every day of the week. Hey, you know, these guys now used to be a newspaper reporter, a writer might write X number of days a week. Now what you've got, Dudley Dawson, if there's news, he's writing about it probably before it is, quote, breaking news, the most overused term in America today. Dudley, how are you?
That is an absolute correctly. There is no more breaking news. It is broke.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm doing good. You know, it's 39 degrees outside here behind me today, and getting a nice little cool streak going here for a while, I guess. But it's all about this weekend with Louisiana Tech. Better this one.
Dudley, you break it up a little bit here, but so in fact, I couldn't hear you, but you've got Louisiana Tech coming up Saturday. Get 6 wins. That's a bowl. We know everybody's talking about Sam Pittman and all, but 6 wins gets you in a bowl. It also gets you an extra 20 days of practice. Is this team, you know, again, they played Texas 20-10. Your takeaways from that game and these next two?
Well, I think the two takeaways I took from that game were that Arkansas kind of stood back up and played a lot better, went 3 high safeties and kept Texas from streaking to the end zone like Ole Miss did so much during their game. But also that maybe Texas is not the number 3 team in the country. I mean, I don't know whether they were up for the game or not, but I'm not sure about being the number 3 team in the nation. We'll see as they go down the stretch here. Got Kentucky this weekend, and then obviously the brawl with Texas A&M the following week. I would say just what I was mentioning a minute ago. I said a huge game. You never thought Louisiana Tech would be such the narrative this week. Is Sam Pittman safe? Is this a must-win game? You can get a lot of different opinions from a lot of different people, but the people who are going to make these decisions are keeping their mouth shut right now.
Yeah. How much do you think that bringing in Bobby Petrino has helped Arkansas this season up to this point? Your grade, A, B, C, D.
Yeah, I think it hadn't hurt. I would kind of say B for the early season, C here later in the season as it goes along, because they haven't put up the points on the board that you would want them to do. Obviously, I think we have found out, and Coach Pittman would be the first to tell you that if he has a head coach, he's 50 years as a head coach, it's a long-time traditional offensive line coach. Moving over to the head seat's a little different. He's made some good decisions. He's made some bad decisions, but I think it's best when you have somebody like Barry Odom or Bobby Petrino next to him. And there have been certainly the cluster that was with Daniel's experience last year has been much better. The kids like each other. They're playing for the coaches. So a different situation there. So you've got to say it's a better situation overall.
Recruiting coming up 2 weeks from today. I know Otis Kirk does most of the recruiting at hogville.net, but you probably hear a little bit of ancillary noise in that room. Is Arkansas, from what you're seeing, addressing their immediate needs? And then they got the portal to go to as well, opening up, I think, December 8th.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. One of the things that is thrown right in the middle there, the after season, a couple of after season with the regular season, with the game against Missouri, Sam Pittman is going to have hip surgery. They say that he says that he's going to be able to get back and be able to recruit and do those things right after it's over with. But I mean, I haven't had hip surgery, but I've had knee surgery, and you don't get around that much. So that's going to be a sidebar thing going on during all of this potential craziness that we have of staying or going. At the same time, I've said they have not done great in-state recruiting, but they've done really good out of state. And I'm anxious to see whether this class holds. We need to know who the head coach is going to be. And surely they'll make a decision one way or the other after the game this weekend before they go in Missouri. Because if you're going to make a switch, you better make it and jump into the fray and find your guy early on. You can't wait around. Because you have, as you said, the transfer portal. It's routinely been 20 guys or so. For turning over, you want to let the current coach be able to do the best he can with that, or the new coach come in and do the best they can with that. And so it's going to be a busy couple of weeks after the season. Really, probably a week before the season ends.
Dudley, the portal came in, it's the law of the land since October 15th of 2018. So we're 6 years into it. What's really changed in college football from your take since the portal became the law of the land?
Kids are playing for money instead of pride. And I'm sorry to sound like an old fogey and get out of my yard, but
you're not.
It's just the way it is. I mean, it's free agency in college football. You used to have some payments going on. They were under the table, and we knew everybody did it. Now it's a situation.
I've heard that people did it in the SEC some.
Yeah. It's rumored. It's rumored.
It's rumored.
Yeah.
Strictly allegations.
Yeah. But it's and I think I've said this before on the show. Used to, you could, if you wanted to interview an athlete, you could go to the sports information director, and that's how they would handle these days. Is you've got to go to the sports information director, the lawyer, and the agent before you can get to where you want to be in terms of doing the kind of stories that we used to do. So I am excited about the fact that I've got a few more years left in me, and but I liked it back in the old days. I'm not so keen on the landscape of college football right now. I still love to watch it. It's just the business of it that kind of shies me away from it now.
Well, I won't be surprised if it doesn't flip back, and that in order to keep the fans from entering the portal too, that they open things up. I see things happening. I try to get ahead of trends. And when you look at the really smart people in the world, and they're so far ahead of what's going on. Wayne Gretzky, the famous interview. Hey, you're considered the best hockey player in the world, but you're not the fastest, the biggest, the strongest. You're not at the top of any list. What makes you so great, Wayne Gretzky? Well, I don't go where the puck is. I go where I believe the puck is going. Mm-hmm. And I really believe college athletics, I saw this coming in the playoff. I said, you're going to create interest all over the country. Here it is. We're going into week 13, Dudley, and we still don't know who the hell is going to play in Atlanta. And I don't know if we'll know after Saturday. And if you're the TV people and you're a fan, you got to be loving this.
Oh, absolutely. You're not worried about who's number 5. You're worried about who's number 13 now. And again, the way they drew up this bracket or aligned this bracket to where Miami might get a bye, or SMU might get a bye if they're, the ACC champion. And then you've got Ohio State or somebody, Indiana, sitting over here, having to play an away game or whatever it is. It's truly very interesting, but also, they wanted to balance it out, give the opportunity for more teams to be there, outside of the Power Four. And now they've designed it to where Ohio State and Alabama may be playing in the first round to move on, and you've got some teams that will get a bye that we won't be calling powerhouses. That's intriguing. I'm not sure about it, but that's intriguing.
Well, the thing about that I love about this college football season is, and Vince Ferrara is going to join us here in just a minute from Knoxville, is just that every weekend there's so much drama. And, you know, Vince, we had Bob Kessling, the voice of the Tennessee Vols, the Volunteer Network. The Vols always look better on a Philco. That was an old commercial. But Vince, when Bob was on the show last Friday, I thought about, remember he was in radio, then he went to Jefferson Pilot doing that game. Then he came back to radio. Just Vince, get your thoughts. We've been talking a lot with Dudley Dawson about this football season. We watched the game out at Lake Martin at the Creekside Lodge after the Auburn game, and my wife was crushed, and I had to console her with some Ham's beer. But that was a frustrating loss because Tennessee jumped out on top 10-0, looked really strong. And next thing you know, Georgia's playing arguably the best game that they played in a while. But Dudley, as we wait for Vince to come back, I've been getting criticized for saying I still thought Georgia was the best team in the league because of what they did to Texas, even though they have 2 conference losses, Georgia does. I said, look what they did to Texas at DKR Memorial Stadium. That still
I think
means
there's some really good teams in the SEC. I'm not sure we can label any of them great and definite national championship titleists, but it's still, and I do love the fact that the rest of the country, some of the journalists, some of the fans are delighting in the fact that the SEC is beating up on each other a little. A couple other things. Number one, I hope that, and I want to thank the people at Guantanamo Bay for letting Vince apparently come on the screen there. He looked like that he was about to do.
Yeah, Vince made a cameo appearance, and he'll be back. But hey,
and then Blind Squirrel had a couple of things.
I wanted to get to those. I didn't see him.
Lane Kiffin said that the best thing might be to miss the SEC championship. It may be. That's not how you usually promote it to your athletes. You want to go win and play every game that you can. But in the big scheme of things, yes, it might be. And as far as the Cardinal prospects, all the pitchers, Thomas Sagasi, the second baseman, we are going to be the Memphis AAA team is going to play in St. Louis this year. It's going to be a very young team. I look forward to it, although I know we're not going to go crazy. But sometimes if you do something different, it makes it more entertaining. So I'll look for that. And he asked if Pittman is replaced, will he retire? I think so. I mean, I think he's got a home down in Hot Springs. It's beautiful. If he is let go or he retires, there's going to be plenty of money to do whatever you want to. He is a football coach, has been all his life, but I think that's probably will be what he does is just right off into the sunset if that's the decision made. And again, I want to point out that I keep hearing that the decision has not been made and that it's been made and it's gone either way. So I'm just going to sit back here and talk to folks and see how it pans itself out.
Yeah, let it play out. All right, some questions I want to get into, and I think Arkansas is going to handle La Tech, and then we'll talk the next week about them against Missouri. But playoff rankings came out last night, and let's face it, they're designed to get people riled up, and they're doing it. Okay, you look at 75-80% of the TV sets. I say it every day, but it's true. Live in the geographical footprint that's the Big Ten. SEC, it'll all work itself. Ohio State play. One of the byproducts, the Fighting Cignettis, Kurt Cignetti coming from James Madison.
Look me
Indiana.
up.
We've never seen, Indiana's never won 10 games ever until this year. Their 2 previous best seasons were 9-win seasons in 1948 and 1967, I believe. And then here they are this year. They're going to play Ohio State Saturday. And you know what? There are going to be a lot of people watching that game. That's the world we live in. So that's good. We just got to work on the portal and NIL where you play for the jersey, where you play for the laundry versus playing for the dead presidents.
I'm going to be one of those watching Indiana, Ohio State this weekend. I thought Nicole Auerbach, who's the great grandmother of Red Auerbach, some of my South Florida there. She had made a point that this is a team that lost its biggest game or didn't do as well, had to come from behind. And she pointed out that was Texas, not Indiana, although people thought she was talking about Indiana there. Indiana will have all questions answered this weekend, I think. It's going to be a great game. I'm sure the big noon kickoff is highly excited about it. All these things are going to play themselves out in the last few weeks. There will be some teams down there in the 13, 14, 15, 16 who are going to be able to cry legitimately over not making the playoffs. But then again, just win. It's win and you're in.
Yeah. Just win it, and if everything works out and you start getting caught looking ahead, that's where you get in trouble. Here's SMU.
I do love the conference championship being given such great weight in this thing.
All right, question now. It was brought up, and Brendan and I talked about it yesterday. Every day now. A lot of people don't like these basketball tournaments, having to play the SEC basketball tournament. Does that help you? Does that hurt you in your seating? Lane Kiffin, if what he's saying is true, there's a lot to be said about that. We'll bring in Vince Ferrara from the Sports Animal in Knoxville. And Vince, Tennessee sitting there in the rankings right now. Is it, I can't see it here, 9, I believe, but 11. Okay, I was 11. But here's the thing. Georgia fell from 3 to 12 after the loss to Ole Miss. But last year in the SEC championship game, remember they were number 1, Vince. Alabama beat them, and they fell to number 6 right out of the playoffs, just behind Florida State.
Yeah, I thought Georgia was dropped too far last week. When they went down 9 spots, Miami lost to a average Georgia Tech team and only fell 5 spots. What are we doing? So, but there's a lot of things you can say, what are we doing with the committee? A lot of inconsistencies. Tennessee, obviously not ideal to be on the outside right now with 2 games that they're heavily favored to win left with UTEP this Saturday and then at Vanderbilt in the final week. By the way, that should be a scary game for Tennessee fans. I know the history is what it is, but that will absolutely take Vanderbilt season to another level if they can keep Tennessee out of a college football playoff berth. I mean, you talk about nothing making them happier. They may finish. They may build another stadium in Nashville to celebrate if they do that to Tennessee. So
we're building a statue to Diego for sure.
Absolutely. So you can't just bypass that game. But look, according to the All-State playoff predictors, Tennessee right now 67% to make the playoffs. If they win out, jumps to 86%. I think people are more nervous than what that 86% would be. I think part of it is they don't have a lot of faith in the committee. They think that, other brands are going to get the benefit of the doubt and other teams that have easier schedules with fewer losses, getting the benefit of the doubt, that the Big Ten is getting the benefit of the doubt. And the one that really, really bothers Tennessee fans the most is Tennessee beat Alabama. They have the head-to-head, yet Alabama is 4 spots ahead of them, 7 versus 11. So, we took a lot of calls and texts on that this morning, as you could imagine, but that's the one that and all the Big Ten love at the top, which I think they're being overvalued. Those are the things that bother people the most out of a long list of things.
Dudley.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. The SEC folks are now griping about the Big Ten getting so much love when that's usually been the other way around.
Right.
No.
In the season. But the big thing is that both of these conferences are going to get half, if not more, of the teams in this playoff, one way or the other. And I'm down for it. I like competition between the Big Ten and the SEC. I like to see little teams, supposedly, as you would say them, in like Indiana. I mean, I still love Kurt Cignetti's, just his mentality. Who are you? Google me. I just love that saying. And as I was saying, I'm going to be watching that game Saturday, and with very, I'm going to watch a lot of it because Arkansas doesn't play till 3, but it's going to be entertaining and answer a lot of questions for both of those teams.
Vince, Tennessee Saturday against Georgia struggled to get those explosive plays, but damn, their defense is good. Tim Banks is a hell of a coordinator. Coach G, Rodney Garner, defensive line coach, one of the best in the country. What is Tennessee? Give me a grade on Nico Iamaleava up to this point. What you think about his progress in his first real year? Did last year, was he a red shirt or did he lose a year?
No, he got a red shirt. Yeah.
Okay. So this is his first full year as a starter. Kind of give us a grade. I've got some Tennessee fans that were asking, they said, ask your man Vince Ferrara from the Sports Animal up in Knoxville, home of Gus's Deli on the Strip, and also the Pilot gas station Death Dogs at 3 a.m. with mustard, onions, and extra hot sauce and chili. Nothing like that to wake you up.
I'll take your word for it on that last one, but
Okay.
I have a hard enough time keeping the weight off, much less that. But look, a couple things. First, you mentioned the Tim Banks defense. They have been unbelievable, one of the best in the SEC in college football this year. However, they had their worst game of the year against Georgia. Give up 453 yards of total offense, over 300 yards passing to Carson Beck, who had his best game and had a clean pocket all night, didn't turn the ball over, and Tennessee could not get to him. No sacks and just 2 tackles for loss. I mean, we just have not seen that. And Tennessee could not defend the tight end as well. Give to Georgia's 3 tight ends, none of them named Brock Bowers, by the way. 10 catches, 130 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So we hadn't seen anyone really expose Tennessee on the back end. And that's a game after the previous 2 where they really were giving up a lot of rushing yards for them and give up 100-yard rushers to both Mississippi State and Kentucky. So it was a strange day for the Tennessee defense. Overall, for the season, you're right, they have been stellar. There's no reason why they shouldn't be motivated moving forward. And then as far as the grade on Nico, I thought Nico played really well in that game. You mentioned the lack of explosives. They threw down the field 2 times. That's it. 2 times. One was underthrown, which is a positive for the way some of these misses down the field have been. He underthrew it, drew a defensive pass interference to Chris Brazzell. That's a positive. And then the other one was way overthrown on the deep shot to Dante Thornton. That's it. Guys weren't getting open to the level. They had a bunch of drops, which has been an issue for Georgia and for Tennessee. And they're just not anything like the explosive outfit we saw at the very beginning of the year and we've typically seen under Josh Heupel. And then one thing that Matt Sims, former quarterback that's an analyst for SiriusXM and ESPN Radio, comes on with us often on the show, he told me this morning, and I hadn't heard anyone break this down in terms of Nico's mechanics. He said on Nico's drops, he would like to see him in rhythm at the back end of his drop. When he gets to his drop, he comes to a standstill. And then when he's ready to throw, then explodes through quickly. Yeah. But he's standing still at the end of his drop instead of being in rhythm. And he said that's what will lead to more inaccuracies. And I said, you know who did that too? Joe Milton. Milton was this massive guy that was back there, and he would just kind of get to his drop and just stand there and ready to gun it with his big arm. That's something that Tennessee needs to look into and get him some of the mechanics fixed to get him more accurate but I thought they utilized a short passing game against Georgia. They just couldn't build off of it. They did more. They couldn't build off of it with explosives. I think the wide receivers and the offensive line have something to do with that, but there's some of that goes on Nico. So I would say a B- grade for Nico. He's not their biggest issue, in my opinion.
All right, Blind Squirrel Sports, love this guy. I don't know where he's from, but sorry if y'all already discussed this, multitasking over here. Thanks for watching the show. But should Tennessee have given Dylan Sampson, the star running back out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, more carries? I mean, Tennessee's got 3 pretty damn good backs.
Yeah, Cam Seldon has, he's kind of fallen behind Peyton Lewis now. Deshaun Bishop was the one that had kind of taken that number 2 back, but he's been out the last couple of games. So there's been 4 different guys that have been used. Lewis is really, with Bishop out, has kind of taken that number 2 role. He's a track guy, but they haven't been able to kind of get him loose, but he was running over guys I thought had a good day. I still thought they should have leaned on Sampson in the run game more, to his point. 19 carries for him, a couple times in the flat, on screens, but not much in the pass game. I do think they should have run him just a little bit more, but, they're trying to keep him healthy too for the home stretch. And, some of the short passing game is supposed to be an extension of that run game too. Just didn't always work out into explosives in that game.
Yeah, I think the norm in both the NFL, now it's come down to college. We used to have kids that we would call bell cows and workhorses, and they're not necessarily getting the 25 to 30 carries a game unless you're Ashton Gentry at Boise State, future Dallas Cowboy, I think. But I think that it's one of those things that they're all working to keep these kids healthy and fresh at the end of the year. Sometimes it works toward the detriment. Sometimes it's a positive. It's just a different situation for each one of them. But, as you said, Tennessee's got some very good backs, but I think Dylan Sampson is the guy, as you mentioned, that if you don't get him enough carries, I think you're hurting yourself.
Yeah. Looking in both of y'all, it is such an honor. It really is to have 2 guys and Brendan's the same way, the Gator Bait crew, but y'all really know what you're talking about. I get so many texts. A lot of people, they're bashful. They don't want to put their comments up there, but they're like, man, these guests that you bring on are really, really elite. And you really are. For both of y'all. And I see a lot of like Gator fans. There's a guy on here, Chuck McKenzie. They're frustrated with Billy Napier, but they love their Gators. And I said this to Brendan the other night, and I was listening to the Florida Network with Sean Kelly and Shane Matthews. And I texted Shane Matthews and said, man, it's great listening to you on radio, because it seems like, and Brendan has said, he's 3 or 4 plays ahead. The reporters, and Dudley, your knowledge of the Cardinals, that's just on another level. But Vince, for both of y'all, the future of college football, this season right here couldn't have gone any better. It's even better than the best case scenario. Would you agree or disagree?
I'm going to go with agree. As I said, I'm entertained. I wasn't for sure about whether they should, take it to 8, take it to 12, take it to 16, whatever. 4 was okay, but yeah, I can see you. But the way they've drawn this bracket up, and again, I go back to the point about winning a conference championship meaning something. I think that's good. But I enjoy the on-field action as much as I ever have. Is what I'll say. The off-field,
Yeah, Vince.
Yeah, I think the interest in games that normally a lot of people would not have paid attention to, I think is incredible. And I think it was undervalued how much not only more fan bases would be invested in their teams because they have a chance to reach the college football playoff. Yeah. I think it was under expected or anticipated how much all of us that watch college football would be interested in so many other games involving teams with a chance to get in the playoffs, because those are games that impact the teams that you cover or follow or for fans are fans of. Tennessee fans normally, unless they have a military background, might not invested in Notre Dame and Army, or who's going to win the Big 12 as it sits right now, in some of those games, or Colorado. These are games that can impact Tennessee and them getting into the playoffs, and how it all shakes out. It's so much. It's such a wide net of interest. Love it. Yeah, overall as a conference, like we thought, but it's still fun. It's still an unknown, and that's entertaining. So all in on it. Absolutely a success.
Yeah, and I love having games every night. I mean, you get Monday Night Football, Sunday, but then there's college games on Tuesday through Friday. And I have watched Louisiana Tech play on most Tuesdays and Thursdays more than I have a lot of other teams. I feel really blessed about how I'm going into this game research-wise. I mean, I saw they're giving up a 49-yard Hail Mary walk-off pass to Jacksonville State. Which I know was brutal for them, but it was highly entertaining on a Tuesday or Thursday, whichever night it was. I enjoy that. It gives the smaller schools more opportunity to be on TV and what do they call it? Inventory. They got a lot of inventory these days. So.
Well, I mean, TV loves it, right? I mean, TV loves it. And I worked 15 years in broadcasting, so everyone loves it. And to stretch it out, I think you guys are right. I think because there's so many. There's a lot more of it, right? There's a lot more better mediocre teams or whatever, but those teams are going to have interest, and then those fan bases are going to watch, right? So we went heavy in this TV world for a while when we had Big 12 networks and we had Mountain West networks, and I worked for all those guys. But I think now we kind of went back, and I wonder if we're kind of going back that direction a little bit.
No disrespect to the Falwells, but I do think that the most entertaining game I may have seen all year was Kennesaw State.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah. One win.
Yeah, there's something wrong with all of us, right? You know that. Yes. Right? With the fact that we all watched it and said, "Oh yeah, I watched that game." There's something wrong with it.
Read this, guys. Relax. We're all crazy. It's not a competition. I got that at Buc-ee's the other day.
Hey, world's largest Buc-ee's opening in Ocala here shortly, so nice. I might have to do some video.
Topping the one down the street from us in Sevierville.
Yeah, yes, we went to that one in February. 74,000. Not to be outdone.
I've never been.
In Texas has an ego. They built a new one at 75,000 square feet out in Texas. But
we're getting our first two in Benton and West Memphis.
Yeah, we got one in West Memphis. I was going to say, and then on the other side, at exit 28 on I-40. On the east side of Memphis. So it's going to be – I got to ask both of y'all and Brendan too that, first off, can we retroactively give the Heisman Trophy to Brock Bowers out of Napa, California? My God, what he's doing with the Raiders. John Mackey would be – John Madden would absolutely love this guy. I mean, he might get him a room on his camper that he went around the country on. But for both of y'all, I'm seeing fans now – you know how you go to a baseball game, you got the people out there keeping the books the whole time on every hit, run, error, whatever. Vince just alluded to it. We're paying attention to these games, and it's week 13, and we still don't know who's going to Atlanta. You can't ask for anything better than what we've got. And being in our position, the four of us and all these guests that we have, it's just you can't – too much is never enough is all I'll say. Old famous Barry Switzer quote. Too much is never enough.
Well, real quick on that, I even undersold it in the impact of us following games. It's not just following other teams that are contention for the college football playoff. It's for strength of schedule. You have to pay attention to teams you've already played for in their games.
Yeah.
Really, you guys with Louisiana Tech, and then the final week at Missouri. Tennessee needs Arkansas to look good. Tennessee has to root for the Florida Gators, Brendan.
God, Tennessee needs to learn to finish a damn season. What's wrong with Tennessee?
Oh, man.
We've shifted back in the timelines and the string theory. We've shifted back to normal timelines.
Yeah. Notre Dame's lost to Northern Illinois keeps haunting them every weekend.
Yeah, and I was watching Northern Illinois and Miami of Ohio last night from Oxford, Ohio, the cradle of coaches. I'm like Dudley. I mean, you watch it every day, and it matters to those people. The thing
Watch
is,
it every day. Me and Vince are on the air like 24 hours a day. I don't think Rob's right behind me. I mean, good Lord, talk
someone
about it.
asked
Watch
if
it.
Brendan lived in the studio.
I don't leave this chair all day.
He never leaves.
I'm on at night. I'm on the day. I just never leave. I just change right
DoorDash.
here. I DoorDash shit. It comes to my door. I don't care. I DoorDash coffee. I DoorDash a cup of coffee. Okay, Rob, this is how much I love you. Hey, before you go, Dudley Dawson, what is your favorite Led Zeppelin album? You did not tell me.
Yes.
Yeah, I did. Physical
No,
Graffiti.
you did not. You said you were going to hold off and you wanted to think about it.
But then I came back later in the show and said Physical Graffiti, and you said, really?
Yeah, okay. So I didn't know. I was just hoping that wasn't your real
That's it. That's
all.
it.
Okay. All right. All right. Fine.
Stick
Vince, do you have a Led Zeppelin album that you favor?
Not album. No.
Not an album. Okay. Oh, by the way, Chuck McKenzie, I do have here. Yep. And I wear the hat.
Because it's from Hewlett and Dunn, one of our
It's from
sponsors.
Hewlett and Dunn, one of our sponsors. And it's a nice little segue into that whole thing for Hewlett and Dunn. But yeah, check them out, Hewlett and Dunn. BootenClothingCompany.com.
And I don't have hair.
There you go.
Shout out to Skull Candy. Shout out to Skull Candy Razors.
I'll tell you one thing, but what we do have is I've got on here with me now 3 of the smartest people and the finest people you'll meet. And folks, everybody watch these guys, follow them. Vince Ferrara, Dudley Dawson, what we're doing here, we are here to serve. We are blessed beyond belief. We live in the greatest country in the history of the world. You got the Boston Mountains in the background. Mama Ferrara is down in Tampa. You'll be going home for Thanksgiving, I would guess.
Dudley.
Brendan Martin,
Bye, Vince. Bye, John Boy.
We'll see y'all.
Vince, go to work. I know
week.
you got shit to do. All right, go to work. And Dudley, I don't know what you do. I don't think you work. I think you and I are the same person. Dudley Dawson, we say goodbye to Hogville.net. All right. And
tonight.
Yes, sir.
On the Buddy Martin Show.
Tonight on the Buddy Martin Show.
Tonight on the Buddy Martin Show at 9 p.m. Eastern, there will be a lot of talk about the Gators and college football. Had a great time last night with Lauren Meadows and you. And also we had Quincy Wilson on. That was really a special interview. Lauren knows him, Gator from Fort Lauderdale. I would watch
former
that.
Gator great. Quincy Wilson.
6 years in the NFL, folks. 6 years.
Great interview. Very well spoken. And soon to be head coach. That guy's going to be a great coach.
He's a son of a coach. So I thought that was really cool. Hey, folks, let me say, Hewlett and Dunn, they're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Get your wife, get your girlfriend, your mom, get your kids Christmas gifts out there. They've got Barber, Filson, Duckhead, 7,000 pairs of boots, Schaefer, Pendleton. I'll tell you one thing they've got is the luggage, the Filson luggage, the STS luggage. Hewlett and Dunn. Talk to Charles and Raven and Laura and JM and Squidward. We'll see you tomorrow, folks. Thank you for watching on Sidelines. Watch that and click the QR code.
In a perfect world, you'd set a health goal and results would happen overnight. In this world, the real world, it takes time, dedication, and the right support to achieve your best self. The Vitamin Shop's health enthusiasts are here to make sure you're not wasting a single moment on the wrong supplements. From the highest quality sports nutrition and superfoods to the most sought after trends, you'll find a huge variety of science-backed solutions for every goal. And the people to help guide you along the path to greatness.
Unbelievably, every 2 minutes in our communities, a child is either bought or sold for sex. I am Ari Dickey, board member for the Nashville Anti-Human Trafficking Coalition. Join me and millions of others in our fight against human trafficking and for its victims by helping to educate the most vulnerable among us, our middle and high school students. Go to nhtcoalition.org, become a partner, and help keep our families safe, because none of God's children are for sale.